Elizabeth Arden Cream.
This one's wife. No friends and on the prowl. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Well, this one's wife has crawled out from underneath her rock, which provides me with a useful opportunity to analyse what she's been up to and explain more about how we see her narcissism in action. But before I get to that, what did you do last night? Well, I'll tell you what I got up to last night. I went to the pub, and I went with a group of friends, or, in my language, non-intimate secondary sources. This group of men I've known for between 10 and 15 years. We all know one another because of a mutual interest in football. We also have similar senses of humour, and we get along very well. I see them fairly regularly. There was 8 of us that all went out. Naturally, because of my position as a narcissistic psychopath, I fraternise with these individuals because they serve a purpose to me. They provide me with fuel. They provide me with character traits. They provide me with residual benefits. They provide me with stimulation, and I've accumulated them as friends. I've accumulated a lot of people as friends. Thus, they cater to the prime aims and also the necessary triad, those aspects of my narcissism and my psychopathy. The point is, my friendship with them has arisen as a consequence of being interesting, entertaining, offering substance to them. None of them have ever worked for me. None of them work for me now. None of them have been paid for in any shape or form by me. Next week, I'm going to be meeting up with some of my former school friends. We meet up intermittently, perhaps a couple of times a year, and a group of us are all going to go out for dinner. I last saw some of them at the turn of the year when we went to see Depeche Mode together. Others of them I've seen a couple of times since. Again, those individuals have entered my fuel matrix as a consequence of the fact that we attended school together, and I've maintained that link with them years later. If you were to ask anybody of those two groups what they thought of me, they'd likely tell you that they enjoy my company, that they think that I'm a great bloke, that they find me entertaining, intelligent, and so forth. In other words, they would regard me as a genuine friend. Now, you all know, having studied my work and listened to what I have to tell you, that from my perspective, those individuals are there to serve my purposes. But even though that's the case, I acquired them as a consequence of some substance on my part. My wit, my intelligence, the interest in football, the fact that I have maintained the friendship because it's useful to me. I should imagine that you have similar friendship groups, even though you're not the type of person that I am, that you have created friendships out of people that you've worked with, the people that you were at school with, people that you've met perhaps through a mutual interest or a hobby. It isn't the case that you're hanging out with people that you've essentially paid for. But let's contrast that position of me as the more evolved narcissistic psychopath and you as non-narcissist with that of the middle mid-range narcissist, this one's wife. Because as reported by Nika Shaksnarova, writing for the New York Post, this one's wife danced the night away with her closest friends in Los Angeles on Thursday night, but her husband was noticeably absent. The Duchess of Sussex was out and about, but who was she out and about with? Was she out with lifelong friends that she's known from kindergarten? No. Was she out with some school friends? No, she doesn't bother with them anymore. Perhaps she was bothering with people that she'd worked with in the past. You know, maybe some members of the Suits cast. Oh no, they're not in touch with her anymore. So who are these close friends? Can't be members of her family. She doesn't bother with them other than Doria. Apparently, it's her hair colourist, Katie Lee. Ah. Now, in fairness, it is the case that you might, for instance, engage with somebody as a consequence of a professional relationship, a paid interaction, and you become friends with that person. But you'll notice something with this one's wife, that what she does is she takes somebody who essentially she pays for, which allows her to assert control over them, and then labels them a friend. They aren't really friends. She's got a relationship with them because she pays for them to do something. This is demonstrative of the fact that she has no charisma, that she's not actually that likeable, that in effect the only people that tolerate her are those that either share her agenda or they get something out of the relationship because she pays them. For instance, take Meghan Harriman, although he's gone a bit quiet as of late. He was referred to as a friend. Why? Because she paid him as the photographer. We've seen other individuals that she's knocked around with, and there was the lunch that she was out with, and who was it? It was somebody who worked with her for Archwell. Not really a friend. They're an employee. They have no choice but to go out for lunch with her. But she, because she has no genuine friends, makes it look like these people are her friends. She doesn't have any genuine friends because, like any narcissist, friends are there just to be used. But it's doubly the case with her. She doesn't have any genuine friends, and she doesn't actually have any friends in the traditional sense because she has to hang out with people that work for her. Contrast that with me. Those individuals, although they are transactional for me, they would regard themselves as genuine friends of mine, having evolved a friendship, i.e., they weren't working for me, they didn't provide a service to me. Whereas with this one's wife, the people that she claims are her friends are people that work for her. People from Archwell, her publicist, and here her hair colourist, Katie Lee, who I think she's been out for lunch with previously. Apparently, Katie Lee and her business partner, Mika Harris, launched a new hair care range. The highbrow hippie hair wellness range is the latest release from Lee and Harris's joint venture, of which this one's wife is an investor. The plot thins. This one's wife was only there because she is invested in their joint venture and she pays them to do hair colouring for her. They're not really her friends. She hasn't got any. She hasn't got any because she's unlikable. She hasn't got any because she's a talent-free, charisma-free zone. She hasn't got any because people soon realise that she just uses people, that she's boring, and you don't want to be associated with her. The only people that tolerate her are where they're getting something out of her, namely these individuals where she's investing in their venture. And once again, this is an attempt to make it seem like this one's wife is some kind of brilliant entrepreneur. But she just invests in almost what are like side hustles that aren't of any major significance. And if she's trying to demonstrate to the world that she's this brilliant entrepreneur, well, she's got a lot more work that she needs to undertake. This one's wife was spotted letting loose at the brand's launch party held at Yelena restaurant in Venice, California. But Prince Harry didn't join in the celebrations. It's a Friday night. Ordinarily, you might decide to stay at home with your spouse, go out somewhere with your spouse. Not necessarily so. You might decide to go out with friends. But this looks like an event that you would probably take your spouse to, but he's not there. Perhaps it would make him feel sad because it was all about hair and he's thinning, or perhaps it's because he's not there anymore. The suit's alum rocked a black bustier top and a pair of wide-legged pants to match for the occasion, which she teamed up with a pair of heels and minimal gold jewellery. As the night progressed, this one's wife even took to the dance floor, where she joined a gospel choir that performed at the launch party. In a clip shared online by jeweller Maya Bremer, the former working royal can be seen busting out a few moves alongside her glam squad and best pals, hairstylist Serge Normand. That's the bald gentleman that you have seen. Now, I think if I'm correct in remembering that he did her hair when she got married. So, there again. Now, this one's wife will say, Oh, these people have become my friends as a consequence of I met them through a professional association, but then we've become firm friends. No, they only tolerate you because it actually provides them with publicity for what they do. They're not interested in you as a person because you're boring and you're charisma free. They are using her in the way that she uses them. Nobody that's got any sense would want to be friends with this one's wife. She was also there with makeup artist Daniel Martin. So these friends are basically a hair colorist, a hairstylist, and a makeup artist, i.e., all people who provide services or have provided services to this one's wife, which she pays for. They're only friends with her because they have a vested business interest in doing so. Katie has a mastery of hair health, and her highbrow hippie collection is a perfect reflection of that. This one's wife told InStyle magazine of Lee's new hair care line. I'm so proud to invest in her as a friend and as a female founder. Lee, whose salon is based in Venice, California, boasts several A-listers as her clients, including Julia Roberts, Brad Pitt, and Sigourney Weaver. Undoubtedly, this one's wife would be engaging in some character trait acquisition in relation to investing in a brand which is associated with those individuals. She and this one's wife get together in Los Angeles, and the hair colorist has even thrown this one's wife a belated birthday celebration at her salon earlier this summer. Then talks about her being an investor in clever brands. So what we have is this one's wife demonstrating once again that not only does she not have any genuine friends in the sense that as a narcissist, friends are just there to be used, but she doesn't actually have any friends per se. She essentially has to buy them. And also, might she have been on the prowl? As we know, Harry is in the sustained devaluation, and the fact that they've not been seen together for weeks continues to reinforce rumours that this professional separation might actually be something more. And if that's the case, this one's wife would be using an opportunity such as this launch party to sniff out potential fresh victims for the intimate partner primary source. This is because narcissists of her ilk don't go long without one. And if Harry has escaped, as might be suspected, her narcissism will be driving her to find a replacement, because then it's easier to have most of her fuel needs met by that one person, ditto character traits and residual benefits. If you'd like to understand more about that, read my book Pipelines and also Understanding Changes to the Fuel Matrix. You can get both of those in the Knowledge Vault, link in the video description. We don't have any actual evidence of her getting a smooch on or showing some spicy poontang to anybody at this launch party, but do understand that with this one's wife, her narcissism would be causing her to believe that every man there, even hairdressers, would be wanting to knock her hip out, and as a consequence, she'd be looking around for the potential to lure somebody in. The narcissism is always looking, and because she has no sense of accountability or loyalty to Harry, it means that there is always the possibility that she might have been locking lips with somebody and seeking somebody else as a potential replacement for him. This is what narcissists do. When the intimate partner primary source is in devaluation, this means that the restraints are off, and the narcissist will have one-night stands, have affairs, and will be subconsciously seeking out the replacement for the incumbent intimate partner primary source. Accordingly, she may well have been flirting with people to assert control over them, but also with a further agenda to draw that person in as a potential replacement. Thus, she's crawled out from under the rock, and this demonstrates for us that, once again, she has to ensure that she receives some publicity because that helps her assert control and draw fuel, but it also highlights how she doesn't have any actual friends and that she might well have been on the prowl. What do you think about this recent reappearance? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.